Someone's found a cuddle buddy. Aww. It's impossible to do anything on this boat right now without her being on top of you.
Why would you do this to me?
Previously on MJ Sailing. There's not huge breakers, but the water is so calm and the most brilliant with blues and turquoises. And when it rolls onto the beach, you do get that nice pink hue for the famous pink beach they say that it is. Tomorrow morning we're getting ready to leave on a 950-mile passage, so we expect to be offshore for about 8 to 10 days. And I just want to get some things done like food prep. Well, the winds are starting to pick up right now. We had been spending most of our trip here with winds under 10 knots, which is really comfortable, so it didn't really matter what direction they were coming from, even if we weren't on the protected side. But now they're coming across the whole bay, and probably about 10 to 15 knots right now and still building. So if we were staying in the spot, we would probably re-anchor on the other side to be more comfortable, but it is time to get ourselves moving right now. You can hear Matt in the background behind me right now. I went home because he's in his underwear. But he's doing things like getting our jack lines run so that if we have to move around deck while we're underway, our tethers to our harness will just clip to these lines that run fore and aft on the deck, and that way you're still a bit more protected from falling off, or if you fall off, then you're still attached to the boat. Then you just have to rely on your partner to get you back on it. Hopefully we won't have to do that. But it still looks like all systems are go. The winds are building from the south right now. We're probably going to leave in about 15 to 20 knot winds, and then through the day today they're going to build to 20, maybe up to 25 tomorrow, and then hopefully start dying out. We might have a few really light wind days. So not only is it a good time to get ourselves moving right now because conditions are starting to get a little bumpy and choppy in here, but we've got slack tide coming to the cut to get out of here in just about an hour. And we heard it can be a little tricky. There's lots of shoaling on each end, very narrow paths through, so they suggest that you either take a pilot or do it in very favorable conditions. So we definitely don't want to be fighting a current for that. And we're going to try and get ourselves there right at slack, so at least we're not dealing with that. Winds down at the south end should be protected mostly from the hills around us, so hopefully we're not fighting big winds to get out there too. But other than that, we're going to get out the channel and just point ourselves east for the next about 3.5 days. We are out the inlet on our way, and only about 950 miles to go to Simpson Bay in St. Maarten. Got the staysail out right now, but I think we're going to switch over to the head sail, try and kick up our speed, and get as many miles in this first 24 hours as we can. So we've been out for a little over 3 hours right now, and done just over 20 miles since leaving Harbor Island. And I've got my comfy little lounging spot here on the low side of the boat. And Matt is currently trying to put up some kind of spray cloth since we keep getting a little bit of splash on the side, but Right now the winds are on our beam. Still don't know exactly what they are. Probably just under 20, I'd say. 17 range. And we seem to be averaging about 6.5 to 7 knots. The winds are probably supposed to strengthen a little bit tonight and into tomorrow. So today and tomorrow should be good days for mileage. And hopefully we can keep them up and hit our first waypoint within about 2.5 days and then turn a little bit more southeast. Well, I wish I could keep you a little bit more updated as we wind down our first evening here. All I can say is things are starting to pick up. I think the wind's building, waves are definitely building, and they're pretty close together too. And I'm going to go lay down right now because I just puked in the sink. So hopefully tomorrow is a little bit better. It's not supposed to be, but if we can get through today and tomorrow, I think it's going to start to calm down.
Well, we decided to take a little bit more of a direct route to get to St. Maarten than what a lot of people take. A lot of people that are leaving from the east coast of the U.S. end up going down through the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Puerto Rico, over Dominican Republic, so on and so forth, further and further across until they get to that route. Negative with going that direction is once you hit Dominican Republic, you end up having wind that's coming direct out of the nose, so straight at you, coming from the east going west. The direction that you're actually trying to go, the wind is coming from. So it makes it very difficult to get to. It's a lot of work trying to find the right weather pattern to try to make any progress forward. Any progress that you do make is pretty difficult. You're pounding a lot, so you're going into the waves, into the wind. You have a current actually coming at you as well. So all negatives with going that way. Positives is you get to see some cool stuff. There's wonderful things to see that area. Also, majority of the things are overnight hops, so they're very, very short duration little jumps. So we're taking a route called I-65. What that is actually it allows you to go straight from basically the Bahamas. We're leaving from Eluthera and going straight out, so straight east is far east as you possibly can. Usually the weather pattern with the trade winds, you have the winds coming from the east, so coming from that direction. Again, same issue that you have down there. The benefit with being further north is you have cold fronts that come off the east coast of the U.S., and what those do is that actually changes the direction of the wind for a short duration, short period of time. You usually get a couple of days that the wind ends up coming out of the south, then out of the west, then out of the north, and kind of cycles back around until we get back out of the east. So what we've done is we found one that looks like it's going to be close to 5 to 6 days of winds coming out of the south and west and north. They're going to stay in the north for a little bit, coming out of that direction, which is going to allow us to go straight east, get as many miles east as we possibly can until we get to longitude of 65 degrees. And then down, south, straight to, that actually brings you to the Virgin Islands. We're going to go a little bit further east and try to get down to St. Maarten or St. Bart's. I think we're planning on St. Bart's. Once we get to about 70 degrees, so going east till we get to about 70 degrees, we're actually able to go on kind of a diagonal and then south from there. So cut off a little corner of it, not cutting off a bunch, but again, the benefits that we get with this are we'll actually have weather or wind from the right direction. We don't have an opposing current, so we don't have the current. We don't have really the wind on the nose. We're able to sail majority of the distance, which is a good thing. And it's a smarter passage for us to make. It's a quicker duration. We'll only do it, and we'll do it in 10 days or less, probably 9 days, something like that. That will take us to do that versus month process of working our way from island to island to get to the same area and having to bash upwind when doing it. So it's just an easier, simpler way for us to get where we want to go. The direct route, you're missing some of the stuff in between, some of the cool things to see. But we've seen a lot of them, and right now we need to get to St. Maarten and start our process to do our Atlantic crossing this summer.
It's a cool hard wind outside my window. Ooh, where people don't know which way to go. I breathe you in 'cause you sensed it on my pillow. Oh.
And Matt just woke up.
And now it's burrito time.
And now it's burrito time. His late night snack he didn't enjoy is getting turned into a very late breakfast.
Oh.
Yep, so getting up 1:30
Yep.
in the afternoon, obviously. Day 2.
I don't know if we would consider this day 3, but we're a little over 48 hours in.
So a little over 48 hours. Boat's doing really well.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's actually doing extremely well. This is really the first time we really had a good chance to test it out.
Yeah, our first kind of like offshore anything.
Yeah, but it's doing, we're getting good miles. Big thing for us is we're doing good miles and we're staying pretty level too. The boat isn't real tender, which means that it doesn't heel over with a little bit of sail. So we're able to stay fairly level, which is a lot more comfortable for Jess and I, and the cat, of course, to wander around in, to live on. Yeah.
Yep, so 48 hours in, didn't really get to record anything yesterday. It was pretty rolling here, Matt. I was just saying that the boat's been keeping pretty level, but they were kind of like short and choppy waves, and it just kept sending these big splashes of water into the cockpit. So unfortunately, unless you wanted to get soaking wet with salt water,
You still have no Dodger?
Because I know, I have to build that still. That was supposed to be my Spanish Wells project until this window came up and we had to leave before we could start it. But, yeah, we've just been kind of hunkering, hiding down below. Lots of laying down and reading. Nothing too exciting happening, but I guess it's always good on passage. And the winds have clocked. We started out with them coming from the south on our starboard side, and then through the night, and through a thunderstorm that only caused me to improperly roll on the staysail, but nothing worse than that. So in my shift in the night, well actually both of our shifts, there was a thunderstorm to the north of us about 20 miles away, so it was a good lightning show. But all it did for us was give us maybe 10 minutes of a sprinkle of rain and then shifted the winds from southwest to northwest. So we had to kind of do a jibe and bring everything over to the other side. And actually did a few hours of motoring in the night because it did take some of it took some of our wind with it. But yeah, now the waves are coming from the north. They've died down a little bit. It's a lot more comfortable. Matt is eating his cold burrito, but I'm going to be fancy and heat one up for myself. Someone's found a cuddle buddy. Aww. It's impossible to do anything on this boat right now without her being on top of you.
Hold me! Hold me! Why would you do this to me?
So right now we are just a little over 72 hours into our journey, and I took our stats, and it looks like, we can, right here, write it down. In 72 hours we have done 414 nautical miles. We're about 200 miles north of the Dominican Republic right now, and probably traveling on a little bit of a southeast course at about 120, 125 degrees. On average, we're going about 5.5 knots, so if we can keep that up for the next few days, it'll be good. And it'll only be a 7-day journey for us to get from Eluthera to St. Maarten or St. Bart's. We're still changing our minds a little bit. Yeah, don't really know what else to say. It's been uneventful so far, which is good. Matt and I are still feeling a little bleh, which I guess that can happen if it's your first offshore passage in 3 years. And maybe we're also just a little bit dehydrated, so we have to get better about drinking more fluids when we're on watch. But yeah, that's about it. Georgie's a constant buddy on one of us. Right now she's sitting right behind me in this chair. I'm almost sitting on top of her. Haven't seen a single ship since we were about 10 miles out of Eluthera, so we are just all alone out here. Even the AIS isn't showing anything coming near us, so haven't hit any shipping lanes yet, but that should probably be coming in the next couple days, which is actually going to be a welcome sight for me. Give me something to do. Look at ships. But yeah, I'm going to take a little nap now before it's time for dinner tonight. And let's hope that the 96th hour of our passage helps us get in the groove. Normally it takes about 3 to 4 good days out before you start to get in the rhythm and probably start feeling better if you're sick. So hopefully that is the case for us tomorrow. Georgie has finally fallen asleep in her own little corner, which means we don't have her sitting on us. And that's kind of nice. Did you find your own little comfy corner tucked into the low side here? Oh, such a good Georgie girl. You do so well on passage. Yeah. We'll be there soon enough. I seem to have just missed it with the camera, but there was these huge sets of waves coming and they would like lift you way up, then bring you way down. It looks really cool. And then as soon as I go to grab the camera, they're gone. So it looks like this is it for day 4 on passage, and we will catch you in the next episode where we finish the last half of it and arrive in St. Maarten or St. Bart's or wherever we feel like landing that day. Next time on MJ Sailing.
You know, all the sailing we've done, all the miles we've done, crossing oceans and so on, I've never gotten seasick before. Never had a problem with it. And all of a sudden, this new outing with a new boat, yeah, I'm not doing too well. Yeah, pretty miserable. No more Cape Horn in my future, I don't think.
So I'm a hot mess. Maybe I'll wait till later. Maybe I'll do one now and then or do it again later. You never know.